So, hello. Um, Hopefully, you might have seen in America, it's been really clear skies here in Britain. We've just seen the moon and Venus coming up closer, and really amazing retrograde period because you could actually visibly see the moon and Venus moving apart over one evening and then coming back together ever so slightly on the next evening. It was like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen the retrograde like so visibly, I guess, in relation to the moon. And there's all these other planets up there in the sky. So it's a really incredible time. So I've got a presentation of some of the astrology, but I just wanted to speak about what the retrograde's been like for me. Um, it's actually right on my Chiron. So it's been really, really powerful the last few days and well, since the weekend. And it was amazing, this kind of strange array of things arrived over the weekend. So the first thing, we'd arranged to see a friend on the Friday, and she changed the where we were going to go, and we went to this really magical place associated with Merlin called Nan Jizzle. It's quite a sort of wizardy name, Nan Jizzle, and it's got these incredible caves there. So one was a dragon cave, and the other was it's just called that. And you like look down, and it's like huge, vaginal, very vaginal looking cave, and then there's water, so we couldn't go into it because it didn't have swimming costumes. And right at the far end was like really white sand and a pillar. So it looked like you were looking into the entrance of like an inner temple. And all three of us sort of spontaneously started singing and sounding. And what was came in that very healing transmission was about um, love, trust, and faith. Interesting, the faith card came up this morning, like deep levels of trust in other people. And at the heart of this thing that appears in the Grail stories, but also in other stories of love triangles. And I'm sure all of us at some time have been, I've been on both sides of that love triangle thing. Um, and the kind of, so many issues. Betrayal is such a painful wound, rejection, deceitfulness. There's just all these kind of powerful human feelings come into those situations. And really, it's a huge issue in the sisterhood, you might say, because unless we can address this very primal fear in our consciousness, then it's very difficult for us to become a synarchy. Well, it's impossible for us to become a synarchy unless we overcome these deep-rooted fears. It's quite interesting. My friend started talking about how she'd been reading Gene Key 59, which is both mine and Adam's EQ that morning, and it talks about this primal fear around relationships. So this is what's come up for me. What may come up for other people is different, but what is for certain is as Venus turns retrograde, she's going to bring to the surface things that are not resolved yet. It's like digging over old ground. And the retrograde, the stationary and the retrograde is in, at the moment, in Gene Key 20, 21, which leads from the shadow of control to the gift of authority and the city. I've forgotten the city now. I'll remember it in a minute. But yeah, this Valor, that's it, Valor, very knightly kind of energy. So so that was one day. Another really interesting thing happened that Adam and I go to this really lovely church, and I had put my name down to do the prayers, and I actually ended up leading the whole service, which was, they haven't got a priest at the moment, and it was the Iona service, which is the Celtic service. It's really beautiful, and the reading for the day, which I had to do the reflection on, was the Transfiguration, and some of you be smiling because my life work is Gene Key 47, which is the Transfiguration. So I'm like, oh my God, like this real sense of alignment, and this kind of real coming to peace with Christianity over many years now. It was all through my Chiron return. It was a big issue. And I really feel I've found this like place of peace, of non-polarization between my more astrology, paganistic, dragon-loving self and my goddess self, and Christianity. And really, there shouldn't be a separation. All of that is in, you know, the patriarchal construct. It's not, it shouldn't be a reality as such. So those were two like really synchronistic things. And then the last few days, I'm really feeling this shadow of the 21st of control. So in the context of our 40-day practice of bringing together these wounded selves, like integrating wounded selves, I feel like in myself, the most wounded parts of myself are the ones that want the most control. They want to control the environment, control other people in order to stop hurt happening. So it's very primal, it's very kind of, so I had to go and have a swim in the sea this morning, which is freezing cold, but it definitely reset me, and just kind of giving myself to the sea was just wonderful, really, like releasing that control to the sea. So those are a couple of the stories, and really interested to hear what's been going on for you as well, because, you know, whatever is not resolved from these last 9 months, we're coming to the end of that cycle. The next Venus star point is on the 23rd of March. So we will still be in this 40-day retrograde when it happens. And yeah, another thing is that a friend sent me is a practice to imagine yourself as a great soul for 40 days. And so I'm bringing that into our meditation as well, because I think that's a great practice. Okay, so let me share what I've done. Just a bit of the old astrology. Okay, so I've used one of Allison Adams's pictures here. It's actually a heart, and there's this diver going in there. So I thought that was quite apt, as I'd sort of been in the sea, and I feel this whole kind of the sea is the goddess, water is the emotional element, and I feel, you know, the heart healing that can potentially come through the Venus retrograde. And we're in a fantastic position because we're doing this Heart Sutra meditation. So we're really kind of riding this cosmic wave, if you like. some of that was conscious and others not, because I don't decide when I get to do my 40 days. Not really, a little bit decide, but it's coincided with this time. Okay, so here is the Venus retrograde chart. You can see here, Venus is there at the top of the chart, and it says S. So when planets are going retrograde, they go stationary, and they're extra powerful when they're stationary, and then they turn retrograde, where you'll see an R like you see on the north node there. So the retrograde was at 10 degrees of Aries, which is Gene Key 21, line 5. And you can see that Chiron is quite close by. We have Neptune, the North Node, Mercury, Saturn, the Sun, and Ceres all in Pisces. So there's lots of excitement here in Britain. Everyone is like, have you seen the sky? And you can see the planets, and it's really cool at the moment. Okay, so as well as all that going on, we also have a water trine. So here we have Mars is in Cancer at 17 degrees. And that is coming down here to Vesta, is at 16 degrees of Scorpio. And then we have Saturn there at 20 degrees of Pisces. So you've got this wonderful water trine, which is healing of water. It's bringing in emotional intelligence to help us understand and support the shadow aspects reappearing powerfully during the Venus retrograde. So whatever appears at the beginning is really important. You know, if you deal with it at the beginning, then you start to break into the gifts and the siddhi. If you refuse to transmute and you resist and you're like, no, I want the other person to change, then the retrograde gets quite intense, but we've got an opportunity to work with it. Okay, so, and the other interesting thing I noticed in the chart is how many of the goddess asteroids, our main ones, are moving into new signs. So all of that is a sign of new energy patterns beginning. And the goddess asteroids, the reason why I love them is because they offer us this chance to like get out of deep karmic patterns. So firstly, we have Juno in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire energy. It's about aiming for what we want in our relationships. Juno is the goddess of the sacred relationship. She must honor herself, otherwise everything goes to pot. That's what she's all about. Then we have, I've talked about this before, Pluto is still with Pallas Athena there in the beginning of Aquarius. So this is all about the warrior goddess energy, the androgynous energy of the masculine and feminine. You know, we are in the alchemical marriage in the age of Aquarius. So if we're finding things in the feminine or masculine outside of ourselves out of balance, then we need to do that alchemy work, you know, do our part to bring things into balance. Then we have Ceres here, the mother goddess, in Pisces. So this is all about the healing of water. Again, like a double whammy of the healing of water and the nurturing power of water as well. And Ceres, as you'll see later on in the Venus retrograde patterns, that she comes right into the middle of the thick of all these planets. So She's just beginning now this, like, let's work with the water, let's nurture the water element. Okay, and is there another one? No, those three. Okay, so let me close that a bit. Okay, so here's some key dates, and then I've got a few charts of these to show you. So you can screenshot this if you like. I might be referring to it again, no doubt, as we go through the weeks. So Venus is moving retrograde, so she's going backwards now, obviously through the gene keys and through the sign of Aries. So she's going to reach 17th gene key, leading from opinion to farsightedness to omniscience. And that's going to happen on the 10th of March. So then she'll be at 9 degrees Aries. Okay, so she moves then, she's moving backwards still. She moves in to the 25th gene key, which moves from constriction to universal love on the 22nd of March, and that's at 3 degrees Aries. And oh, there's one before. So we've got the lunar eclipse. So next Monday, we'll talk more about this lunar eclipse, and I'm going to talk about Vesta and how we might use this eclipse intentionally to see even deeper into ourselves. Okay, so then we have, as I say, she moves into the 25. And then on the 23rd, we have the next Venus star point in the 25th gene key that will begin a whole other 9-month cycle then. On the 30th of March, Neptune moves into Aries, and then the Venus retrograde ends on the 13th of April. And the first, Venus rises as morning star in late April. And the first Venus moon gate is at 27 Pisces on the 25th of April. Venus she's still in the evening sky. She'll disappear closer to the Venus star point because she'll be in front of the sun. So we won't be able to see her in the glare of the sun at that point. Okay. Oh, did I? Okay, so this, just to show you this, oh, it's not too keen on this one. So this is the 13th of April where Venus goes direct again. So you can see here, if I open it, you see Venus has the stationary again, and then she's going to go direct. So in other words, you start moving anti-clockwise around this chart. So it's interesting that at that point, she's slap bang in the middle of, we've got Ceres is just 4 degrees away from her now, the mother goddess. We have Saturn is almost exactly conjunct. We have the North Node, we have Mercury, and then we have Neptune there just moved into Aries. So this is going to be really, really powerful. I mean, it feels massive, actually. So I was like, well, what is going to happen? Well, there's a lot of healing potential, a lot of potential for the healing of water, the healing of emotions. Yeah, and Saturn kind of helps us become more mature to create the forms that we could use. So without Saturn, we can't build. Saturn's the builder. Saturn is our inner adult. And so it is a difficult planet to work with. In Pisces, quite a few of us here who are Virgos will have, I've got Saturn almost opposing my sun right now. So some others might have that too. So it's a tricky planet to work with because there's this feeling of constriction. It really is, that Gene Key 25, the constriction is going to be magnified through the presence of Saturn there. Okay, so oh, and I forgot to mention here. So yeah, as Venus goes direct, we also have a Sun Chiron exact conjunction. That's in Gene Key 42. And there's also this beautiful fire trine going on between Mars, Astraea. Is it Astraea? No, 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 no. We've got a fire trine. Have I got that right? Oh, yes. So here we've got Astraea goes up to Chiron and the Sun. And yeah, no, it doesn't go to Aries, but it's linking in with Mars there and the nodes through that position and actually through Uranus. So very, very powerful energies all in all as we come out of the Venus retrograde. And just to share the first Venus Moon Gate, we're not going to be doing that in Soul Tribe this year because I want to follow the Moon and Black Moon Lilith more. But I will be doing it myself. So if you would like a list of when those dates are, I can send that to you when I've typed it up. And yeah, but you can see as the first Venus gate is also right in the middle, it's exactly conjunct Saturn there. So Saturn, I feel, is a really key energy at the moment to be working with. And I'll maybe speak into that more in meditation with our mudra that uses the Saturn finger over the Jupiter finger, because it feels like this is a really good energy to master the expansion and the form and the building. When we get those two right, we can build new forms, but often we expand and we're not ready for the form bit, or we get constricted by the form bit and we stop expanding. Okay, so I think I'm at the end of that now, actually, so I've come out of that. So we're coming up to, it's just gone 25 past. As I say, I have to go today 1:45, so we've got about 5 minutes each sharing, though, if you would like to share. I'm going to stop the recording, first of all.